Hi guys. This is exciting. I don't know if you know, but I'm actually a Newcastle girl, and I was back in 2000 and I don't know, somewhere around 2000. I don't know if you even know this, Richard, but Newcastle University awarded me an honorary Masters of Science. So that's probably why I'm here. And that was for my contribution to the food industry as a scientist. And it's something that I don't take lightly, and I think was an incredible honour. And so it's without doubt that I was up at 5 o'clock this morning and here, to be here and to join you, because my heart and soul is in Newcastle. My mum's out at Minmay, and I think it's a really special place. And if there's anything that we can do to develop entrepreneurship, then let's go for it, because it's I think it's one of the most exciting spaces, is having startups, and that's where my passion is creating a brand, seeing an opportunity, creating a product, creating a brand, and building that to a level where I can then hand it over, basically, or sell it, much better word, to the next players that have got distribution expertise to take a business to the next level. So before I start, can I get a little bit of a feel for who's here and why? Because I think we're about up to 5 to 9, 10 to 9, and I'll take this quite casual. I'll talk, and please just interrupt me the whole way, because I think then that's lovely, because the ideas are sparking. It creates a little bit of energy in the room rather than me sitting up here the whole time. So let's just do a quick 2-second. Who are you and why are you here?
I'm Lena.
Yep.
I'm a local of Newcastle for
Yep.
1.5 years.
Yep.
I'm establishing myself as a marketing exec. I love hearing new ideas, innovations.
Yep.
I've been working a bit with the council and the other organisations on the startup.
Yep.
Start House on promoting the Hunter as the innovation capital.
Great.
It just really, it's now that I'm looking for my new adventure, it's like I get to soak up all these stories.
Right. And is that what this hub's doing? Looking to be the like Newcastle will be the innovation centre? Oh my God, how exciting! That's great. And whose vision is that?
Siobhan's and the exec.
Right.
Well, there's people
Right. Okay. Terrific. Thank you. And we were just talking then, I believe you're studying.
Yeah, my name's Alex. I'm doing a Masters of Bioinnovation and Design with the university.
Yeah.
And my supervisors recommended that I come along to these talks to get better at pitching.
Yeah. And listen, I don't say I'm hopeless at pitching, but when I did a capital raise a couple of years ago, which I'll talk you through, the guy that I'd appointed as my advisor to do it, I drove him insane. I would never say the same thing twice. I would always flick and switch, and I'd play back to him. We raised $2 million in 6 days of presentations on a value of my lipstick business at $3 million. I was at home. I wasn't even making the lipsticks. I'd outsourced them because I believe in an outsourcing business model. And I was turning over less than 200K. I wasn't making any money, and I was dropping the kids off at work and picking them up. I mean, I was working my absolute butt off, but it just goes to show you don't have to be exactly by the book and by the formula. So much of your passion and your capability can come through, and I think your personality can come through in when you're doing that as well. And I believe makeup artist and someone that's bought my my Luk Beautifood lipsticks. So
I'm Sarah. I'm a makeup artist and coordinator for, I don't know what you didn't call it. We're a startup business mentoring place as well. So I came there originally to do my business, but now I'm hoping to go into mine a lot more, because that's what I'm passionate about. But more so doing professional women and more enhancing their features rather than covering it up with a mask.
Yep, exactly what I'm about. Okay, and you, hang on, I know you. About this lady.
I'm Nikki. I work for Newcastle City Council in a role that's very similar to Siobhan,
Yep.
marketing background.
Okay.
It's Sarah Dennis. So I run a full-service marketing agency in Newcastle, and Cindy was my first client when I was working in my graduate role at Containers Packaging a few years ago.
Few years ago, I think we're talking 1996.
Luke,
Oh, what do we have? Luken and May, yeah.
Luken and
Yep.
May days, and doing the first round of products into David Jones' Christmas catalogue.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And in complete contrast to that now, David Jones, and look, hopefully you've just read a little bit about me, that I make a 100% natural toxin-free lipstick from food, and my company's called Luk Beautifood, and we sell direct to consumers online, and we also sell to strategic stockists around the world, and I've got a very specific scaling model to do that. But a reflection of what's happening now is that David Jones, a beauty buyer, contacted us. They contacted us via the online inquiry form on our website. And yeah, and they work. So, you know, in complete contrast to the way business used to work, you know, via the online inquiry form. I mean, it so could have gone into spam, it could have so been not even followed. I mean, not perfect customer service, but we could have missed it. So, you know, great contrast to what it was like when we sold to David Jones, you know. Yep. Yep, exactly. And also when I think about, you know, the way that I look at the Australian market and the different channels of opportunity to sell your product, and what the value of that opportunity will be, and how much work it will take to get that business. And when you know what sort of rebates and trading terms are with that account, and you just go, right, this is just about positioning the brand, so I'm going to allocate this amount of time to servicing that channel, versus, you know, where am I going to do the volume, where am I going to you know, be able to build and scale the brand significantly. So if I think about my different mindset from when I had my first company to my second company, massive difference. Gentlemen.
Well, I've got a background in automation, the engineering related. I have had work in food packaging prior to this. I've just sort of really part of the Spark Fest. Did a hackathon last week, and interested in hearing on what's going on in the startup space. And I have colleagues that are in food at the moment, and I invite them to maybe not here, but that we're supposed to impart some knowledge from us to them.
Great, thank you. And
I'm Gary.
not Darren.
About 20 years innovation, founded many things, exited a few, and my next better is Unity Smart Region Incubator, where we look after about 50 founders in health tech, ag tech, and agribusiness. And when I'm not doing that, I'm in Hawthorne in Melbourne at Swindon University driving the agile aging gig.
Oh, fantastic! Wow. Feel honoured that you're here. Thank you.
So I fly in, fly out.
Yes, sure. And
Siobhan, I work at the University of Newcastle, so I manage the innovation hub of the I2M.
yep.
It's really passionate about helping people realise their entrepreneurship aspirations,
Yep.
or trying to help them fail fast if it's not quite the right idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're either going to fly or flop.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, right. Okay, so I'm Cindy Luken, and oh my gosh, can't believe this, but in my 50s, and I all my life have dreamt about having businesses, or a business to begin with, because that's where I was. And when I was way back in the days of school and university, I loved food. I was so passionate about food, eating, cooking, and I actually wanted to be a chef. But I also wanted to go to university. And so I ended up going to university and studying applied science. So I have a Bachelor of Applied Science in Food and Nutrition. And I spent my early days, first job out of university was catering, so I really got to know food. So I cooked for Prince Charles and Lady Diana. I was working for a catering company, Just Knew, that had the contract on the state office, New South Wales State Office. So we cooked for kings and queens, you know, dignitaries. We did eastern suburbs homes. We did boardrooms. So I was actually introduced in Sydney to a very different style of life to growing up on the lake out at Toronto, and so I went and catered for a couple of years, got the feel for food. Then I went to Sara Lee and I worked in the laboratory there developing food products. That was, I suppose, the ones that are claimed to fame now, the ice cream range and the sticky date pudding. And they've also got things like lasagnas and garlic breads that are under a Mama Fiorelli brand. I don't even know what brand they're under now. And so I discovered my niche was that I loved developing products. I loved identifying an opportunity and being able to bring that product to market, because I had this innate ability of being able to see an opportunity or see what was needed with consumers and know that back end in production, how it could be made effectively, or what a piece of equipment, a depositing machine or I don't know, some sort of equipment could actually do, but not the way it's been doing it all the time, if that made sense. And so to, you know, make, you know, the puddings, or whether it was biscuits or whatever it is. That was where my niche was. And because I loved food, it meant that my passion for food was able to be applied to developing products. And I knew I always wanted my own business, and I had an opportunity to go into business. But the reason I took that quantum leap is that I had met my husband to be via a blind date back in the early 90s. And he had this life where I just went, oh my God, I want a life like you. And so for 9 months of the year, he would work his butt off. He had his own business where he would survey a yacht if he wanted to buy one. If not, he had a business where he would then do the insurance assessment work if it crashed or a storm came through. But for those other 3 months of the year, he went, ironically, trekking. So the gentleman that was in here earlier, Mohan, came to see me because I haven't seen him for 10 years. And he has a trekking company. And so I just went, I love the way this guy, as in my husband, puts his life together. I want to have my own business too, so I'm in control of my destiny. And I'm in control of whatever I do, I'm responsible for it. And I think that's a really important part about a startup. And you know, the fact that you need to have this passion about what you're doing, because you've got to work through the thick and thin of just pursuing that ideal, because you are ultimately responsible for it. And you can't blame anyone else, you can't expect anybody else to make it win and work for you, because you're in the driving seat. And so I started a catering company called Luken and May back in, I think, 93, 94, with a person called May. And we catered, and that was a great little business because we'd actually invoice people out for 50% of the services before we actually started the job, and that provided the cash flow to actually run that particular job. When we're doing that, I'm just thinking, oh my God, it's such hard work. You know, always doing this service work. You can only get to a certain amount of income, which can be a good income, but you're going to end up with so many more people, and you have to work all the time, and when everyone's playing, you're working. And so the business model in itself wasn't the most fabulous business model, but it was enough to get me out there and enough to get me confident. In the boardroom lunches and the weddings that we used to do, we made a little biscuit. And that little biscuit was what I called a butterburst biscuit. And I just went, oh my God, there's a product. I want a product. I want to be able to put that product on the shelf, or I want to put that product on every platter of catering, you know, presentations that are going out into hotels and contract caterers. And that's what I did. With my experience from Sarah Lee in food manufacturing, I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to make those biscuits. And the reason I made those biscuits is that it was the product, but it was a low risk product. I was never going to kill anyone. I think it was around that time, there's that whole Garibaldi with the salami and people dying of food poisoning. So this was a low risk product. It was a product that could be stored at room temperature. And it was this product that people ate a lot of. You know, everyone has a cup of tea with a biscuit. Well, we used to back then before we got to the health balls and health slices. And so that's what happened. Is that I started to make biscuits, and we're making these biscuits in the just in our kitchen for the boardrooms. But what I did is I did, you know, a couple of calculations on the back of a piece of paper, and it was just like, there's no way I'm going to make a whole lot of money by baking biscuits in my own kitchen. By baking biscuits in my own kitchen, I'm not meeting the HACCP quality assurance not laws, but experience that I had when I was working at a Sarah Lee, which meant that product was made to quality assurance or quality control systems. And so I went, right, okay, I'm going to outsource the manufacturing of this product. And that's what I did. Now, it was all about timing. It was about timing that HACCP and quality control systems were not mandatory for the supply of food back in the mid-90s. And so what I did is applied science and I applied standards to the making of a food product that was made from real ingredients and was made to look handmade. And so the problem is that calculation I did in my kitchen for biscuits, that I couldn't get them out and make enough money. That's what happened to all the commercial kitchens around Sydney, whether it was the airlines, whether it was hotels, wherever it was. They couldn't bake enough biscuits for the morning tea tray either. And so there was this fantastic niche opportunity to do that. But what we did at the same time, because I had May, was created a retail product. And we were talking earlier about the importance of packaging. So what I did is actually these beautiful little biscuits, they were packed in the most gorgeous boxes that you were making. And we then put them into David Jones. We then positioned them in the marketplace to be attractive. So when we were doing the banqueting biscuits at the Sheraton, those same biscuits were in their rooms, and the guests that were in those rooms were shopping at the David Jones food hall. And so they're going, oh my gosh, look what they're serving us here. So there was this lovely little story. So without spending too much time on Luken and May, I bought out Sally May, that was my partner in the very, very early days of converting the business to a biscuit business rather than a catering business. And what I did is, I went to my accountant, because I thought, oh, that's what you need to do. You have an accountant, that'll help you run a business. And they said, and I said to them, what do I need to do? And he said, right, this is how you get your finances together, this is what you do. And he said to me, do you want an investor? And I said, what would I want an investor for? And they said, to be able to grow your business quickly and to reduce your risk. And I thought, that's a great idea. And so that's what I did. He brought an investor on board. The accountant needed to put money in it as well, because he brought the investor on board, which is one of his clients. And we built the business in 5 years to a 5 million wholesale turnover. And during that course, I obviously moved the business out of home. We sold to, everyone I was mentioning before, multi-channels. So the airlines, the contract caterers, we didn't do delis. That was just too hard to work. And we didn't do the cafes, because that was really hard work as well. We did the cafes later, but we did those via wholesalers in order to get the product to the customer at a lower cost of service. And so we grew that business. I also created another brand called Bite Me and Be Spoiled, which was a range of biscuits for everyday use. And they were just like so much fun. They were chocolate, and there's things like Wild Seed and Heart's Desire and stuff. And that brand, plus my Luken and May brand, ended up going into Harvey Nicks and the Selfridges and Tesco's and Sainsbury's in the UK. And I got to a point when the business was turning over about 5 million. I just thought, oh my God, we've just got too many balls in the air here. I want to sell the Bite Me brand, and I want to build the Luken and May brand and take that gourmet branding into potentially other products, other categories. And when I appointed a broker to sell the business, the business that he identified as an ideal type of business to purchase the brand was a distribution business. So they could actually use their base of distribution. They could take an existing brand and they could roll it out through their back-end services to then be able to scale the operation. And when they saw the Luken and May business, what they wanted to do was buy it all. And I must have been in my, I think I was about 38 or something. It was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to have kids soon. It's, the clock's ticking. And so that's what happened. I sold the business. I went with it, or some of my team went with it. And I went to Stuart Alexander to then, work with the brand and build the brand over there. I've got to be honest, I lasted a year. I just was, my passion and my energy and what I love doing, it was just in a completely different environment. And that's where I know that I love the startup phase. I love that energy. I love getting it to a certain point. Then I need to let other people take the business to that next level, because I kind of don't like that repeat. I don't like doing a lot of repeat stuff. I get bored with the repetition. So, taking the existing product to, a new market or a new customer is still a bit repeat for me. So, it wasn't the perfect, end story for me or the brand, because then a couple of years later it was then sold, and it sold, the Luken and May brand then sold to Byron Bay. And Byron Bay cookies are now owned by Reality, I think it is, and the brand has been brought back to life at the moment. So I actually had an interview with the marketing manager for Luken and May biscuits 2 weeks ago, and they've created new Butterburst biscuits. The products on the airlines for back onto the Qantas Airlines, and they're bringing this beautiful brand back to life, and they're doing the most gorgeous job of it. So my little heart was like, it was pumping. It was so exciting. But it was even more exciting because about 4 months ago, and I'm going to take you through the Luk Beautifood journey, and that's where I'll spend a bit more time on. About 4 months ago, my board, because I have a board now, so I've really gone in terms of businesses to the next level of running an operation. And so my board was meeting for one of our monthly meetings in the Australian Institute of Company Directors. and we're using their meeting room there. And one of my directors was from Melbourne. So he walks into the Institute with the Luken and May biscuits and puts them down on the table. 1 hour later, we have morning tea, and in comes the morning tea with Luken and May biscuits. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I wish I was doing a pitch, because I couldn't have actually planned it any better, that there was longevity in a brand that I'd created and sold back in 2003. So it was a pretty exciting moment for me, seeing that brand still existed and that somebody else was taking it to, well, hopefully now to the level that we really wanted to take that business to. But if I go back to where I am now, when I sold Luken and May back in 2003, I had a couple of years off. I then had 2 kids, and it was when the children were younger that I went, okay, I think I might just start looking for that next business opportunity. You know, I love having kids and I love immersing myself fully into whatever I'm doing, which is why I couldn't work out how I could run Luken and May and have children. it just wasn't fathomable to me. So I'm going to do something, I want to do it really well, and I want to put all my energy into it. And so the kids are a couple of years old, and a girlfriend of mine asked me if I would do some due diligence for her and assess a little body care brand called Arnaud. This is in 2006. If I would have a look at this body care brand for her. And ironically, the product was actually being made up in Nelson Bay. So I went up and had a look at it. And whilst I was there, there was, they were making a lip tint for a brand called Shazam. And I'm telling you, there was a saucepan about this big with a big spoon in it, and it was on almost like a gas burner, and they'd stir it, it was all shiny. Then they had this block of wood that had all these little sticks in it, and they put this shiny liquid into a jug, and then they poured it. I knew that lipstick sold for $19.95 in David Jones, and I'm seeing this, inverted commas, backyard operation, this product. But I just went, you know, the light bulb's supposed to come on, but I just went ka-ching! And because I had asked the gentleman how much it cost to fill that little lipstick, so I just went ka-ching, oh my gosh, exciting. And I went home and I looked up the formulations to make lipstick or to make makeup, and or colour makeup, and I could not read the ingredient statement. Here I am, a scientist, and I'm looking at the ingredients, I'm going, this is absolutely crazy. So what I did is I actually deciphered what those ingredients were. And they were fats and oils, they were waxes, they were colours, they were flavours, they were emulsifiers, they were stabilisers, they were, oh God, everything and anything. And when I worked out that's what they were, I went, oh my God, I could just substitute food into a lipstick and make them, and this could be my next product, because this was a product that was really small. This was a product that in the beauty industry, we don't have a shelf life on our products. In food, you do. So when you don't have a shelf life on a product, you're not having to continually rotate that stock. You're not having to worry about, is it selling through, is it not selling through? And when the next order goes to the shop and they say, but you've given us the product with the same shelf life on it. Is this fresh? Did you just make it? So there was this, you know, fact that was a small item. And the internet, right, was coming to life. And it was, you know, flagged as the, you know, the next channel of retail, and it was going to be on the growth channel. And so what I wanted is that, you know, when I was there with the little kids and in the playground, you know, pushing them and stuff, I'd actually put a checklist together of what I wanted in my next business. And it was an item that was small, so it didn't take up a lot of room. It was an item that could be posted in order to be able to, I could ship it from home, I could keep it at home, and I could just start this little, what I was going to coin, you know, the world's slowest startup business. It was a product that a lot of women, you know, there's a big audience. A lot of women used lipstick. It was always used. And it didn't really matter what price it was. Someone that didn't have a lot of money was still buying the $30 or the $40 or the $50 Chanel lipstick, because it was affordable luxury. It was your entry point into a luxurious item. And if you're going to buy a luxurious item, it's a handbag, you're going to start at $1,000. A car, you're going to start at, you know, $70,000, $100,000. So it's actually a low-priced item for something that's luxurious. And it was a product that had a low cost of goods, so there was going to be a lot of margin in it, and that meant that by having a lot of margin in the product, you could then use marketing to be able to differentiate and communicate what your brand was. In the food industry, the margins are much, much slimmer. And so it was ticking every single box. And that's how I ended up in the makeup industry, because I'm not a makeup artist, I'm not a fashion guru, I'm not into that space. But what I was into was I'd seen that it made sense that if you live healthy, if you eat good food, if you're looking after yourself from the inside, why on earth are we putting this crap on our skin? Because we know what goes on goes in. And so I saw lipstick as the perfect starting point for creating healthy makeup, because what you put on your lips, you actually eat as well. And we know that a woman in her lifetime eats at least 400 lipsticks. And that if they're containing heavy metals, if they're containing toxins, and if they're containing plastics, because 70% of that lipstick is made from synthetics. So there's synthetic beeswax now. There's the petroleum oils, which are actually synthetic based. We are actually consuming plastic. We're consuming synthetics, and so it doesn't make sense that that's what we're doing. So that was the seed that planted the idea for me to create a new business. And so what I did is back in, actually I had this wild idea. So what I did is that I actually did the formulation work on the lipstick myself in my kitchen. I honestly opened pantry doors and got the avocado oil out and the honeycomb and all that sort of stuff. But, also being a bit savvy, I, went and found all the supply companies into the cosmetic industry. And I then got there, got the reps out, learned about formulations from them, got ingredients out. I also said to them, okay, who are the best colour manufacturers in Australia? Who can I talk to? Who can you give an introduction to me to? So, really about using other people to get the information to shortcut your path on where you're actually going. And so what I did is found colour manufacturer. I had a base formulation that I created, went off and saw them. And we created this beautiful range of 7 sheer lipsticks, which I call Lip Nourish. So what I make today still is simply 12 lipsticks, and that's them over there on the display. So I just simply make today 12 lipsticks that are 100% natural, toxin free, and made from food. But the whole philosophy behind it, which is I harness the beauty in food to nourish your skin from the inside out. So I have the beauty kitchen to help you to eat well, and from the outside in with the products that I actually make. And so in finding that contract manufacturer, they were just like, love your idea. It is so far out there, it's not funny. No one had heard about toxins in makeup. Everything was just chemical filled. Like, it just was not in the space back in 2008. And I actually formulated those ranges with them. And you ready for this? When my husband and I decided to have kids, I just said to my husband, I said, I'm a bit worried being, inverted commas, stuck at home with the babies, and that, I'm not going to be a very good mum, and I'm going to just like go crazy. So we made this plan that once we'd had 2 kids, as soon as they were, popped out, we would sail around the world, and that we'd spend a couple of years sailing around the world together, and just enjoying the time together and getting over that really challenging stage. And so, when they were born, we realised sailing around the world was not a great idea. Sand, bottom of the yacht, not getting out, seasick, nappies, but just all too bad. So what we did, we just went, let's go charter or buy a canal boat in France, and let's go barge the canals in France. And that's what we did for 18 months with these little babies. And we had double mechanisms so the babies didn't fall out and all the rest of it. But what actually happened in my beautiful wild ideas, I made sure I got all those lipsticks just about ready, because I thought at night, when the children and the babies had gone to bed, I would open up the online store in Australia and start selling. And the third-party warehouse would pick and pack, and we'd just ship the products out. I learnt really, really quickly about that was totally unrealistic. And I also learnt really quickly that the internet and doing online marketing and reaching people was really hard. But the first thing is I didn't have a product that I could sell. My product failed all its testing with its packaging in the first year, and trying to meet the DHL courier in France when I didn't speak French to actually approve or disapprove the sample was just crazy. So that whole idea was just put on the shelf until 2012, and it was in 2012 that I then got back and then launched my little range of lipsticks. It was between 2012 and 2016 that I was at home, and I just slowly grew that business. The website that we have for Luk Beautifood that's up now is actually the website that in 2015 I created. So that's how far ahead of the time we were. I ran beauty. I had a beauty kitchen pop up at the Growers Market. You know, I was making glowing green juices and doing turmeric milks and, you know, all those bally things that you see now. I was doing that back in 2013, 2014. So what I was doing was waiting for that wave. It was in 2016 that I was approached to do a capital raise for my business. And once again, it was just like, oh, what would I do that for? Or no, it wasn't that. It was actually, no, I don't want to do that yet. I'll get too diluted. Because I learned in my first business, and that's one of the reasons why I went to sell one of the brands, is that very early in the piece, I got diluted too early. So in my Luken and May business, I had about 45% equity, and then we needed more money to grow. And I wasn't going to be able to do that by retaining a big chunk of my business. And so when I did this second business, Luken and Luk Beautifood, it was really about, I don't want to get diluted too early. I want to build this brand, and then when I'm ready, I will then go out to investment. I didn't think I was ready. As I said, I was turning over about 200K. I wasn't making any money, but I had this beautiful brand, and I'd really identified another opportunity that was ready to take off. And it was back then in 2016 that you know, a friend of mine that does raise capital, he said, let's have a look at your business, and we did. And when we went through it, we said, yeah, this business, we reckon we can raise $2 million on a $3 million valuation. And as I said before, that's what we did. And so what we raised that money for was to invest in people and to invest in marketing, so that I had a little team that was a very professional team that was able to manage operations, manage online marketing and e-marketing, had a technical manager to do the development of a pipeline of products so that we could roll them out. And the strategy was to sell 80% of our business online and 20% through strategic stockists to position the business. First year, challenging, really challenging. We weren't getting the ROI on the investment dollars for marketing. My team weren't the right recruits. We had quality issues in the product range. So that year one, oh my gosh, we went through that money, and I'm just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is what's happened within 12 months. What we did as a very nimble business is that I then changed the strategy and said, right, we're getting runs on the board out of those stockists, let's move to stockists. And that's what we did, we flipped it. We said, let's get 80% of our business from retailers, and let's get 20% online. And so in 12 months, we have taken that business. We're now in 472 doors. We're in Anthropologie stores in America in the new Mind Body Wellness section. We're in Neiman Marcus online, and we do pop-ups with them. We've just come out of the Indie Beauty Expo in America, and we had Barney's, Nordstrom, Whole Food Markets, Macy's, you know, major retailers come through and want us. The year before, when we were in there, we had Target come through, we had Sally Beauty come through, everybody. We had European Sephora come through, but we said no to all of those guys because they weren't in the right positioning or they weren't in the right regions. So I've been very, very tight on what we're going to do, because that's really key in a startup. What you need to do in your business plan is not try to be everything to everyone, and really, really focus on what you're doing. You know, you need to validate what you're doing in a market where you can test it and validate it, and then you take that model that works and then you go to scale it. And so that's what we're doing in this business, is that we've validated it here in Australia, and we're looking to scale via America, and we're doing that very carefully. And so, you know, in 12 months, you know, the last 12 months, you know, my little team's done an absolutely amazing job with the business and the brand. And we have absolutely been, you know, focusing on, you know, packaging and getting it right, because this is just a little footprint, sorry, that goes on the counter. And this is the little footprint that goes into the healthy living stores, into the more the big beauty stores. We have a great big, we have a bigger one that's got a tasting plate on it, because all the cues in this brand are about food and about the beauty in food. And that bigger one has just gone into Blue Illusion stores. And my mum out at Minmo, she came down and she said, Cindy, look what just came into my letterbox. And there was the summer or the spring catalogue for Blue Illusion fashion stores. And on the back page, it's a full page spread with this lip nourish on there. And so what we're doing is going into various, you know, the apparel channels, because beauty today, and what I'm trying to show what beauty is, it's not just about, makeup. It's actually about beauty comes from within, and it's about a natural beauty. And so my lipsticks are about being 100% natural, toxin-free, made from food, and they create a healthy, natural glow. So it's a product that you just wear all the time, that you put on. It's not a fashion lipstick statement that's full of colour. It's for women that basically don't wear makeup or don't wear much makeup, that are concerned about what goes in and goes on. So the time is ripe. So once again, that market timing is absolutely ripe. And so what we're doing at the moment is I keep getting approached again by major businesses. One at the moment, a service provider, China's third biggest service provider for e-commerce online, to actually be able to invest in this business and to take it into China to put it onto their platform. And every week, Chinese companies are contacting us and contacting us. And again, last week I was contacted by another business that has got fantastic retail distribution, and they look at this brand and they just go, oh my gosh, look what we can do with it in our platform. And so at the moment, I have multiple businesses that are contacting me to invest again. And what I'm so pleased about is that in my second startup, I've been able to put the business together in such a way that I understand it. So I understand my shareholders' agreement. I understand what my shareholders' rights are. I understand what it takes in investment dollars to go into the business, and at what stages we're going to need more money as working capital, and at what particular stages it breaks even. And I know what the product development plan goes forward. And so I think what's really interesting, and it comes back to what you were saying, when you've got a startup, just jump in and do it. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, you're going to learn from it. Right? And if it isn't flying, something's wrong with it, pivot, swap, do it, or get out, start again. Because in one of those paths, in one of those journeys, you are going to find the most perfect business that really, really understands what the consumer wants. It understands what the opportunity is. You've got the right pricing model behind it. You know how you're going to grow it. You know how you're going to exit it, and you have fun doing it. It's a really amazing space. And I was even thinking, because I'm getting all these inquiries at the moment, I thought, oh my God, if I could now set up a little team where I've got these ideas and I know how to put them together, and I can now have a pipeline of multiple companies that we start up, because these bigger businesses are hungry for new brands. And in this health and wellness market at the moment, it's incredible. I mean, one of these Chinese companies that's interested in the brand, they've just put a $50 million fund together of local money and of money coming in from other countries. And all they want to do is create a portfolio of products to put back into their funnel up in China. So I feel quite empowered that I'm understanding the biggest space of how a global market works. And even for the fact that when you've got a prestige beauty brand, you can only get to a certain level in the turnover before you have to go into mass market and, inverted commas, bastardize it. So when you go into mass market, you're going to lose the positioning up above. So how do you grow that business? You look at these developing countries, you look at these women that are actually loving clean products. They're concerned about what they're eating. And so whether it's China, whether it's India, whether it's Russia at the moment, they're looking to Australia for clean and green. And so I just look and I stand up and I helicopter down and I go, look at the opportunities we have to create products in this country. So it's really pretty exciting. So I know I'm supposed to be sort of finishing up. So I'm just going to take you right back to the start of the brand, maybe. So this is all the press. Like, we get serious press. Key thing to do when you're in a startup is just press releases, send them out, get your product out, get other people talking about it. One of the reasons why we didn't work online in that first year with my lipstick brand, really simple. Women didn't want to buy a colour lipstick when they didn't know the brand. They weren't confident to purchase. So no matter how much PR I got, no matter what I was doing here, I couldn't make it go viral like some of those celebrity brands on Instagram that you hear about, because I didn't want to compromise on my values. And so that's why it didn't work in that. We know our customers absolutely love our product. All the reviews you see on our website, I have not deleted any of them. They are all true. So there's an absolute loyal dedication. With our brand, and what we need to do is mass sampling. We've got to get our product into the brands in more hands. So what we did by pivoting the brand is we're now using our stockists' audience and their marketing budget to be able to grow our brand. And that's why positioning of the Luk Beautifood brand with those beautiful retailers, the David Jones, the Neiman Marcus's, the Barneys, is so important to my brand, because that's where media and that's where everybody then looks to for the success of the brands. So Lagardère, they're airport retailers. So we're now in airports, and like we're selling like 35 units a week of lipstick in the store. And like the guys from Lagardère, which are the third biggest airport retailers, they're so excited. They just go, oh my gosh! And they went and launched the brand for us in their Perth store, because they loved it so much. Healthy Life stores, we've gone into 44 of their stores. There's some of our displays. So I think what's the essence of this here as well is just keep it simple. It's only 12 lipsticks. I could have gone and done so many different products in the first 12 months of this business, because what happens, you have more products, you increase your invoice value, you make more money out of them. But we've been so focused, no, let's not make the customer, but let's create a box of lipsticks with a beautiful display, and let's make it so it's irresistible to open new doors. And we've got a beautiful little customer down in Blue Elements, is that what they're called?
Derby Street.
Yeah, in Derby Street. Like, they're champions. They sell lots of products. So a woman goes in there and buys it, loves the shade, comes back and gets a few more. She goes through one if she uses it all the time in less than 3 months, so she's just got to keep buying it. And then, because she loves it so much, she buys a gift and gives it to other women. They then go in and buy it. So it's this beautiful little sort of like viral path. But it takes time to get the momentum on that. But we're really proud of the displays. This is the beautiful one that's gone into the Blue Illusion stores and gone into the airport retail stores. As a scientist, as a nutritionist, I write content. So I honestly haven't written content for the last couple of years. So since we did the capital raise, there's too much to do. I haven't actually been doing that. But I created a lot of content beforehand, and we then made it over so it looked beautiful. So here we've got things like beauty nutrition. I've got beauty food bites. Beauty recipes, so it's the whole DIY, because we don't have skincare products, so therefore we're just providing the skincare recipe. And so the beauty kitchen is all about me providing the recipe for natural beauty. And it's not just about, you know, products to use, it's about a philosophy, it's about how to get your life together, and it's all that sort of like self-help stuff. But I must admit, it's such a busy space out there now. I've got to come back and revisit this in the marketing. So our product, really, really important to have accreditation so that people believe in the product. So we've got toxin-free certifications. We make it really clear to the customer what our product's about. We've won, there's not the award in there, but in Indie Beauty Expo in New York in August, we won Consumer Choice. They got surveyed when they left the actual expo, and ours was one of 10 brands out of 260 that was loved by consumers. That's really, really important to our brand. You can see completely different perspective on beauty. I've taken that food and my passion and I've rolled it out into a different industry. What else have we got? Okay, cues about food. So it's food and makeup, talk about menus. The names of each of the product are actually the flavors as well as the colors. So a completely different approach to whatever it is that I do. I talked about that, what goes on goes in, because this is about health and well-being, mission. You know, doing mapping, so make sure you understand where you are and you play in the market. Really understand consumer needs. So this is what then created my product. So it's a really nice thing to understand what the needs are. Then have a look at how does that apply to your product when you're creating a business. And then, you know, obviously, you know, there's a bucket load of opportunity analysis and the rest of it. But that's, you know, my second little business. And, you know, at the moment, you know, honestly, stay tuned for what the next stage of growth is, because it's pretty exciting at the moment. So there we go. Any questions?
Just have time for a few questions. Anyone?
When are you going to tackle foundation? It's a higher volume that people use on their faces, and it's more chemical driven, isn't it?
Look, it is. It really is. It's interesting, because when I first started the business, a friend of mine, Irene, has an online business called, Nourish Life, and she got the rights to bring in a brand called 100% Pure from the States, and it's a beautiful brand. In terms of positioning, they didn't position it very well in America, but Irene positioned it beautifully here. And so I was one of the few people that were allowed to distribute the product. And so I got all the foundations and the powders to see, you know, and then, you know, the lip glosses and the mascaras and the whatever else. And I put those into my product range, so when I increased the offer to consumers and increased the average order value of an online purchase, but so I could do it as research to work out what sold and what didn't sell. And it was the foundations that just totally, you know, sold really well. One of the things that I didn't say is that I created a lipstick because it's really, really small. So I can actually send my lipstick to customers for 1 stick for free. And that's because we go through the mail post, not through the not through the parcel post. Parcel post is $7.95. A letter's $2. So what I did was reduce the barrier to purchase by having a product that we could ship for free. And so, you know, in effect, it was the perfect business model. No barrier to purchase, free postage, yada, yada. And there's no way that I could have done foundations that way. And then powders, they break. So that's what I learnt, powders break. So it is on the eventual makeup product mapping pipeline, but it's honestly, it's years out, because there's a lot of other products that I can do that are going to be easier and in demand and do volume as well. And because I'm not a makeup artist, I don't have the credibility of shade matching and understanding exactly what women need. And so once again, there's more products that I can do that don't depend on that expertise that's not yet in-house in the business. And by not having makeup artists as a core proposition, I'm differentiating the brand. So if I go and start playing in foundations, I'm playing in a bigger pool where there's lots of fish.
Can I say, very well done. I'm super impressed. It just ticks so many boxes. And, you know, just a marketing brain, it's just, you know, it all, you've thought of it all. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank
Can I
you.
ask, are you in Scandinavia yet? In Northern Europe?
Look, we sell some single units to there. We're not in terms of stockists, and that's because our scaling strategy was to, as I said, validate here in Australia and then scale via America. And what's happening now is that we can't ignore China anymore because of the evidence coming in. So if I look at how much inquiry I get out of for e-commerce cross-border Asia versus Scandinavia, and the shipping cost to Scandinavia, and just the difference in trying to service that market. When we're servicing America, it's too hard at the moment. Doesn't mean it won't be, but they're doing a really good job up there. And so there's no point, I think, going to sell, you know, coal to Newcastle, so to speak, if they're doing that job. Whereas in Asia, they're craving our clean and green credentials, and Australia, and having distribution in Australia becomes the showcase for Asia. America becomes a positioning tool, and I mean, of course, it's got the scaling ability. Like the average invoice value for a stockist in America is twice what it is here in Australia. And we sell our product at $29 US in America. We sell it here at $29.95 Australian dollars. So we've positioned it in the States as a luxury, and so we benefit from the margins in there as well.
Yeah, because I think Northern Europe, the margins you can put them really, really high. So obviously you won't never get the volume as you would get in China. In Korea, even Korea love their natural beauty. They want stuff to be edible, right?
Yeah, they do, and we're actually working with a major retailer in Korea at the moment. We've got a little distributor there that just does online, but a major retailer contacted us after, when I was in the States. I was invited to present at Stifel Investment Banking's first beauty conference, because this whole beauty industry and healthy beauty and wellness industry is so frothy at the moment. So the consumer products relate, you know, the director of consumer products at Stifel Investment Banking, which is a global investment bank, has started courting me and my company after we exhibited in August 2017 at the Indie Beauty Expo in New York. And so he got me to talk at his first conference, and they invited all their private equity firms and high net worth individuals there. And this presentation actually was, that little presentation was just a quick run through for that company. Does it actually say it there? No. And that's why it's got Sydney, Australia on it. And so from there, it was honestly the night before, they said to me, oh, Cindy, we're having 20-minute one-on-ones, and all these companies want to talk to you. I went, oh my God. And one of them was a Korean company. And so I'm in discussion with them now, and they supply into all the airport duty-free stores. They do the most amazing online store. So it's interesting. And I think that the takeout for everybody here on that one is, get yourself out there. You never know what doors are going to be open, but don't let it persuade your direction. Make sure you know where you're doing and what you're doing, and then use that as the filter of whether or not that fits into your plan. So we've got this radical thing at the moment where we keep saying the Russians are coming because in one of our trade fairs, the Russians, the entourage came through and they're looking to Australia for clean green products and they're looking to Australia for natural beauty. And this retailer, they're putting their first brand in, which is the Cora Organics. And they've come to me and they just said, Cindy, you are best in show. We love your brand. And you know, I actually need to respond to an email to show them what the point of sale in store looks like, you know, when I leave here, because they've just come back to me. And that is so not on our plan, but I just am giving it enough time just to see whether that opportunity is worth pursuing. Because if they so want us, I'm just saying, this is our price, this is how we do it. And if they meet our requirements, go for it. If they don't and they start to bargain us down, it doesn't matter, because our strategy is over here. And one of the things is, are you all in business? Is there all too much to do? Are you all too busy? You're all trying to do everything? And that's why your plan is such a guiding light. What are you going to do? What are the deliverables you're working on this quarter? How are you going to get those done? If you didn't get them done, why not? What did the research say that you were doing that was validating each of those stages going through? So you apply big business systems to a little business, and that's what also attracts capital. If you're organised, as I said before, I've got shareholders, I've got a board, right? So I've got a board and I've got some pretty amazing directors on my board that I've been able to attract. And so that attracts others to the business because of that. I mean, it also drives me insane because I'm spending so much time doing administration and relationship development, but that's what I need to do. See ya. Yes.
So, you and I are both the right side of 50. So the fastest growing, well, older Australians isn't about the 80-year-olds anymore, it's about the 50 and 60.
Yeah.
You've got a product in a segment which is wellbeing, health and wellness, and it's the 50 plus momentum. How well do you know your demographics and what are you targeting older Australians? And there's 3.5 million older Australians, but there are 300 million Chinese that are older Chinese.
Do you know what? Watch this space. I could not agree more. And this is where one of the things that I wanted to do with the initial investment in having marketing expertise in the business was to really hone in on who our audience was or is, and how to actually communicate to them. So to segment that market, understand who our customer is and segment. And we actually have not done that yet. Right? We have not done that yet, which is one of the reasons why, as I was saying, we've still got the same website from 2015. We've got some pretty girls up there, but the girls I've got up there are they're in their 30s, and they've got, not those girls, there's somewhere in there that I've got my girls, and they're, oh, there we are. Okay, so she's in her 30s and she's a mum and she hasn't been touched up in what we do. Because what I have a sneaking suspicion is that myself, so the 40s, 50s, 60-year-olds, we're not speaking to them. And I would love my brand to speak to them, but I can't say that yet. I actually need a marketing expert to really have a look at that and really then be able to roll out what that brand looks like so that it relates to her. Because I think that there's so many players in the space looking at millennials, and this brand is not about chasing millennials. So that's why on Instagram, you know, I personally struggle on Instagram because the communication is at a younger tone, and that's once again where your communication strategy across different channels of communication needs to be really, really clever. And so that segmenting of communications is key. And so to actually work out, you know, what does your brand stand for and what is it that is attracting your audience to that? Is it because it's a healthy product? Is it because it's you know, good to use? How do I then make sure I don't alienate my target customer to that is really key. And that's what we're going through. And it's not easy. It is not easy at all. So I'm totally with you. And I mean, I was listening to Ida Buttrose yesterday, at some conference on yesterday for the, you know, the invisible over 50s or over 60s where, you know, they're just not being marketed to.
Yeah, but you've also got a product, if you think about the airport stores, it's the 50-year-olds who are buying your product as they're walking through.
Yeah.
To go and sit in business class, to go to
Yep.
Paris and London,
Yep.
to come back to Sydney.
Yep.
It's, you know, I do agile, when I'm not at University of New England, I'm doing agile aging at Hawthorne.
Agile aging. I love it.
$200 million bit, agile aging. Because it's
Love
not
it.
about the 80-year-olds, it's
Yep.
about the 50-year-olds.
Yep, I agree.
And we don't want to be called older Australians. whole demographic now, and it's around well-being,
Yep.
health and wellness.
Yep, totally. Totally agree.
We look at health tech, and this is a health tech product. We look at social community,
Yeah.
innovation, and we look at the future of aged care workforce. We're only doing three things, and this is a health tech product for older Australians.
I'm with you. Yeah, so.
Thank you.